The entrance. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council sparkled like a freshly polished diamond, its crystalline walls refracting light from the 3 suns of Centaur Prime. Representatives from over 200 species filled the tiered seating, their murmurs echoing through the vast space like waves against a cosmic shore. To call it impressive would be like calling a supernova a light show, technically accurate but missing the point entirely. Ambassador Zix of the Zelian Empire sat in his privileged position near the center, his iridescent scales shifting between shades of purple and gold as he preened. His species had held their seat for over 10 millennia, and he wasn't about to let today's proceedings change that. The admission of a new species to the council was always a tedious affair, but this one promised to be particularly amusing. Humans. The very thought made his upper lip curl in what his species considered a smile but looked more like a predator sizing up its next meal. They barely mastered faster-than-light travel, and here they were, presuming to join the greatest political body in known space. The audacity was almost admirable. The delegation from Earth may now enter, announced High Counselor Ven, her crystalline form catching the light in prismatic patterns. The massive doors at the chamber's far end began to slide apart with a sound like distant thunder. What happened next would be recorded in council archives with a variety of descriptors ranging from unprecedented to absolutely barbaric, depending on which species you asked. The human delegation didn't just enter, they made an entrance. The chamber's ethereal lighting shifted to a deep blue, and a low rhythmic bassline began to pulse through the room. Several of the more sensitive crystalline species vibrated in resonance, creating an unintended harmony that actually improved the overall effect. Through the doors strode Admiral Marcus Chen of the Earth Defense Force, flanked by a team of officers in midnight blue uniforms that somehow managed to look both ceremonial and combat-ready. Chen's walk was the kind of confident stride that suggested he'd not only read the room but had already figured out 3 different ways to take it apart if necessary. His silver-streaked hair was cut with military precision, and his eyes held the kind of amusement usually reserved for adults watching children's puppet shows. Esteemed members of the council, Chen's voice carried effortlessly despite speaking at what seemed like a conversational volume. Earth thanks you for this opportunity to bore you all with tedious diplomatic proceedings. Lieutenant Commander Maria Torres, standing just behind Chen's right shoulder, maintained her perfect military posture despite the slight twitch at the corner of her mouth. She had argued against this approach during their preparation sessions, but Chen had been adamant. If we can't be honest about the tedium of bureaucracy, he'd said, how can they trust us with anything important? A ripple of confused murmurs spread through the chamber. Protocol didn't usually include self-deprecating humor. Several species translation matrices struggled to process the concept, leading to a cascade of conflicting interpretations that only added to the confusion. Zix's scales shifted to a deep crimson. You dare mock these sacred proceedings, he demanded, rising from his seat in a motion meant to display his species' impressive height. This council has maintained galactic peace for longer than your species has had written language. Chen's smile widened just enough to be noticeable. Ambassador Zix, I believe. We've heard so much about you. All of it true, apparently. He turned to address the broader council before the Zelian could process the insult. My fellow sentients, Earth comes before you not as supplicants but as equals. We bring with us innovations in technology, medicine, and, as you've just witnessed, dramatic entrances. The chamber's atmosphere crackled with tension. Several species known for their empathic abilities were already withdrawing their sensory tendrils, overwhelmed by the clash of emotions. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form chimed softly, her species equivalent of clearing their throat. Admiral Chen, she resonated, while we appreciate Earth's unique approach to diplomatic relations, perhaps we should proceed with the traditional protocols. Of course, High Counselor, Chen replied, managing to make a perfectly respectful bow seem somehow ironic. We wouldn't want to waste time with originality when there are perfectly good traditions to uphold. In his elevated seat, Zix's scales had progressed through several shades not usually seen outside of toxic warning displays. The day was about to become significantly more interesting than anyone had anticipated, and humanity's first official council appearance hadn't even properly begun. Commander Torres subtly shifted her weight, a movement that would have gone unnoticed by most species but caught the attention of the Meridian representative, whose compound eyes registered the minute changes in muscle tension. The insectoid being's antennae twitched with interest. Humans were proving to be far more complex than their preliminary reports had suggested. Zix rose from his seat with the fluid grace of a cobra preparing to strike. His ceremonial robes rippled with patterns that ancient instincts recognized as dangerous, even across species barriers. The chamber's ambient light caught his scales, creating an intimidating display that had caused lesser species to tremble for millennia. Perhaps, he began, his voice carrying the weight of 10,000 years of military victories, the humans need a reminder of their place in the greater galaxy. His upper appendages moved in precise patterns, activating the chamber's holographic display system. Behold the might of the Zelian Empire. The air above the council floor erupted with images of vast armadas. Warships stretched as far as the eye could see, their designs an elegant blend of art and devastation. 10 million ships, Zix announced, each capable of reducing a continent to ash. 200 billion warriors bred for combat across 1,000 worlds. Technology perfected through countless wars. The display shifted, showing weapons that could crack planets, shields that could withstand supernovas, and engines that bent space itself to their will. This is but a fraction of our military might. Your pitiful fleet wouldn't last 5 minutes against a single battle group. He turned his attention directly to Admiral Chen. You have 2 standard cycles to withdraw your petition for council membership and submit to Zelian protection. Otherwise. The hologram showed Earth, then simulated its transformation into a molten ball of slag. The chamber fell silent. Even the High Counselor's crystalline form had stilled, waiting for the human's reaction to such an overwhelming display of force. What followed would be discussed in diplomatic circles for centuries to come. It started as a chuckle, just a small one from somewhere in the human delegation. Then another joined in, and another. Within moments, Admiral Chen and his entire team were laughing openly, not nervous laughter, not the kind beings make when trying to hide fear. This was the kind of laughter you'd hear when someone told a particularly good joke. Oh, I'm sorry, Chen managed between chuckles, wiping an imaginary tear from his eye. It's just, is that all? He gestured at the impressive holographic display. 10 million ships. That's adorable. And the whole planet cracking thing. Very retro. Very 20th century science fiction. Zix's scales flickered between patterns so quickly they became a blur. You dare. Yes, actually, we do dare, Chen interrupted, still smiling, because here's the thing about humans that you really should have researched before this little show. He stepped forward, his amusement suddenly carrying an edge sharp enough to cut diamond. We don't respond well to threats. In fact, they tend to bring out our creative side. The Admiral pulled out what looked like an ancient Earth communication device, a smartphone, if the historical archives were correct. For instance, while you were giving your impressive speech, we took the liberty of uploading a rather interesting virus to your holographic systems. Nothing dangerous, mind you. Just a small demonstration. The massive fleet display above them suddenly transformed into an endless loop of what appeared to be an Earth feline playing a musical instrument, accompanied by some sort of repetitive melody. Several council members' translation systems struggled to process the words, "Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down." Commander Torres allowed herself a small smile as chaos erupted in the chamber. The Zelian technicians frantically tried to regain control of their systems while representatives from dozens of species began talking all at once, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony that threatened to overwhelm the chamber's acoustic dampeners. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form pulsed with a frequency that demanded attention, gradually bringing order back to the proceedings. Admiral Chen, she resonated, her tone carrying both warning and, was that amusement? While your demonstration is certainly memorable, perhaps we could return to the matter at hand. Chen nodded, his expression becoming more serious but retaining that edge of dangerous mirth. Of course, High Counselor. But first, I believe Ambassador Zix should know that the virus he's trying to purge from his systems isn't actually in his systems at all. He held up the smartphone again. This is just a receiver. The real show is happening about 3 light years from here, where a small team of human hackers is having a delightful time with a quantum entanglement hub that the Zelian Empire really should have guarded better. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the ever-present hum of the chamber's environmental systems seemed muted. Zix's scales had settled into a pale, almost sickly shade of green, a color that those familiar with Zelian physiology recognized as profound shock. You see, Chen continued, his voice carrying easily in the silence, humanity didn't spend the last few centuries just developing faster-than-light travel. We were busy with all sorts of projects. Quantum computing, artificial intelligence, cybernetic enhancement, genetic engineering, you name it, we probably have a research division for it. But do you know what we spent the most time studying? He paused, looking around the chamber, making eye contact with various representatives. We studied you. All of you. Every species that's ever made contact with Earth, every trading vessel that's passed through our system, every piece of technology we could get our hands on. We learned, we adapted, and we improved. The Admiral gestured to his delegation, each member standing tall and proud. The humans before you aren't just diplomats, they're examples of what humanity has become. Lieutenant Commander Torres here isn't just my second-in-command, she's a quantum computing specialist with processing capabilities that would make your best AI blush. Dr. Rodriguez over there. He's carrying enough computational power in his augmented cerebral cortex to run a small starship. Impossible, Zix hissed, his composure cracking. Our intelligence reports. We're exactly what we wanted you to see, Chen finished for him. Did you really think we didn't notice your surveillance? Your probes? Your spies? We fed them carefully curated information, showing you exactly what we wanted you to see, a young, ambitious species just beginning to reach for the stars. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form shimmered with what those familiar with her species recognized as intense interest. Admiral Chen, are you suggesting that humanity has been deliberately concealing its true capabilities? Not concealing, High Counselor. Let's call it, graduating with honors while keeping our thesis under wraps. Chen's smile returned, this time with genuine warmth. Earth doesn't want war. We don't want dominion over other species. What we want is exactly what this council was meant to provide, a forum for cooperation, mutual advancement, and peaceful resolution of conflicts. He swept his arm toward the still-playing cat video above them. This demonstration wasn't meant as a threat, it was meant to establish understanding. The Zelian Empire has maintained peace through the threat of overwhelming force. We respect that approach, it's kept the galaxy relatively stable for millennia. But humanity offers something different, peace through mutual assured capability. The chamber stirred as translation systems processed this concept, leading to another wave of murmurs and discussions among the representatives. Chen waited patiently, allowing the implications to sink in. We seek council membership not because we need protection or legitimacy, but because we believe in what the council could be. A true forum of equals, where species share their strengths and help others overcome their weaknesses. Where technological advancement serves the common good rather than military superiority. He turned to Zix, whose scales had begun to show traces of their normal coloration. The Zelian Empire has been the guardian of galactic peace for 10,000 years. That's an impressive achievement, and we honor it. But perhaps it's time for that peace to be maintained by cooperation rather than fear. As the chamber erupted into discussion, Commander Torres stepped closer to Chen. Sir, she whispered, the quantum team reports that the Zelian systems are attempting to backtrack our signal. Chen's smile didn't waver. Let them try. How long before they reach the decoy hub? About 3 minutes, sir. Should I alert the team to begin Phase 2? Not yet, Commander. Let's see how our scaly friend responds to this first round. Chen watched as Zix conferred frantically with his advisors, their scales flickering through various shades of agitation. After all, we wouldn't want to spoil all our surprises in one day. The first day of humanity's introduction to the Galactic Council was far from over, and Admiral Marcus Chen had a feeling that by the time it ended, the galaxy would never be quite the same. As he watched the various species react to his revelations, he couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, humanity's approach to galactic diplomacy might work out after all. Of course, that would depend largely on what happened in the next few hours, and on whether the Zelians discovered what else humanity had hidden up their sleeves. Chen glanced at his smartphone, checking the time. Phase 2 would begin soon, whether they were ready for it or not. The game was just beginning, and humanity was playing for keeps. Digital shadows. The quantum entanglement hub floated in the void 3 light-years from Centaur Prime, its crystalline structure barely visible against the backdrop of distant stars. To most passing ships, it appeared to be nothing more than another relay station in the vast Zelian communication network. They would be wrong. Lieutenant Jessica Wong's fingers danced across holographic interfaces within the stealth ship, Digital Whisper, her neural augments processing data streams at speeds that would make most AI systems envious. They've taken the bait, she reported, her cybernetic eyes tracking multiple data feeds simultaneously. Zelian counter-intrusion teams are exactly where we want them. Captain Maya Rodriguez nodded, her own augmented vision overlaying tactical displays across her field of view. The small team of human hackers had spent months preparing for this moment, setting up elaborate false trails and dummy systems for the Zelians to chase. Begin Phase 2 encryption protocols. Let's show them why humanity's digital warfare division earned the nickname Ghost in the Machine. Back in the council chamber, Admiral Chen watched the holographic displays flicker and change. The infamous Earth feline had disappeared, replaced by cascading streams of data that made even the most advanced Council species technical experts pause in confusion. The Zelian Empire's pride and joy, their quantum communication network, was about to reveal its new masters. Ambassador Zix, Chen's voice carried a note of almost paternal disappointment. Did you really think we'd only prepared one surprise? The cat video was just to get your attention. This. He gestured at the transformed holograms, this is to make you understand. The data streams coalesced into a three-dimensional map of Zelian space, but not as it appeared in official star charts. This map showed something far more interesting, the true extent of the Empire's secret military installations, hidden research facilities, and classified shipyards. Facilities that, according to all official records, didn't exist. Zix's scales shifted to a shade of gray that few present had ever seen on a Zelian, the color of absolute terror. How, this is impossible. These facilities are protected by quantum encryption keys that would take 1,000 years to crack. Chen finished for him. You're absolutely right. If we tried to break them. Instead, we wrote new ones. Tell me, Ambassador, when was the last time you actually checked the fundamental architecture of your quantum network? High Counselor Ven's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained energy. Admiral Chen, you claim to seek peaceful cooperation, yet you demonstrate capabilities that many would consider acts of war. With respect, High Counselor, we're demonstrating capabilities that the Zelian Empire has been using for centuries. Chen nodded to Commander Torres, who activated her own holographic interface. New data streams appeared, showing communication logs, surveillance reports, and military assessments, all bearing the classified marks of various Council species. The Zelian Empire's quantum network doesn't just carry their own communications, Torres explained, her augmented vocal cords allowing her to project perfect clarity to every corner of the chamber. It's been monitoring every species in Council space. Including yours, High Counselor. The revelation sent shockwaves through the chamber. Representatives from dozens of species began accessing their own secure networks, trying to verify the humans' claims. The results caused even more chaos as they discovered the extent of Zelian surveillance in their supposedly secure systems. Now, Chen continued, his voice cutting through the growing pandemonium, we could have revealed this information through traditional diplomatic channels. We could have filed complaints, presented evidence, and waited while committees debated and deliberated. But we've studied your history. We know how the Zelian Empire handles such challenges. He turned to face Six directly. How many species have mysteriously withdrawn their complaints against the Empire over the centuries? How many witnesses have suddenly gone silent? How many worlds have suffered natural disasters that just happened to destroy evidence of Zelian interference? The silence that followed was deafening. Even those species who had long suspected Zelian surveillance hadn't realized the full extent of their information dominance. The Empire's 10,000-year reign suddenly appeared in a very different light. But we're not here to topple empires, Chen assured the chamber. Quite the opposite. We're here to offer a choice. A new way forward. Commander Torres stepped forward, her holographic display shifting to show a new kind of network architecture. Earth proposes the creation of a truly secure, truly neutral quantum communication network. One built and maintained not by any single species, but by the Council as a whole. One with transparency and accountability built into its very foundation. The technical specifications that followed caused several of the Council's leading scientific minds to emit various signs of astonishment. The proposed network would incorporate technologies that most species had theorized but never successfully implemented, true quantum encryption that could not be broken even with artificial intelligence, consciousness-linked interfaces that would prevent unauthorized access, and processing capabilities that would revolutionize everything from space travel to medical research. This is what humanity brings to the Council, Chen explained. Not just technology, but a vision of what we could achieve together. Yes, we could have used our capabilities to dominate, to conquer, to rule through force like so many empires before us. Instead, we choose to share. To collaborate. To elevate. Lieutenant Commander Torres's neural feeds were buzzing with incoming data from the Quantum Hub team. The Zelians had finally reached their decoy systems, and what they found there was causing even more confusion in their ranks. Instead of classified human military data, they discovered thousands of cultural databases, Earth music, art, literature, scientific papers, and open-source technology specifications. Your cyber warriors are quite persistent, Chen commented to Zix, who had remained unnaturally still since the revelation of his empire's surveillance network. They've just reached what they think is our command hub. I recommend having them download everything they find there. Particularly the collected works of Shakespeare. I think your species would especially appreciate Julius Caesar. The subtle thread in the reference wasn't lost on those familiar with Earth literature. Several council members' translation matrices quickly provided relevant context, leading to a new wave of murmurs throughout the chamber. But it was the Meridian representative who grasped the deeper implications first. The insectoid being's compound eyes reflected the holographic displays as it addressed the chamber. The humans didn't just penetrate the Zelian network, it clicked and whistled in its native tongue. They've been there for years. Everything we thought we knew about Earth's capabilities was exactly what they wanted us to know. Finally, Chen smiled, someone who sees the full picture. Yes, Earth has had access to the quantum network for quite some time. We've read your reports about us. Watched your observations. Learned how you think, how you analyze potential threats and allies. And we designed our emergence onto the galactic stage accordingly. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form harmonized with a frequency that demanded attention. Admiral Chen, you present us with a paradox. You demonstrate power that could destabilize the entire council, yet claim to seek cooperation. You prove capable of diplomatic subterfuge spanning years, yet now choose complete transparency. Why should we trust that this is not simply a more sophisticated form of conquest? Chen's expression softened. Because, High Counselor, humanity has already seen where that path leads. Our history is filled with empires that rose through force and fell through resistance. We've learned that true strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. Not from forcing others to submit, but from inspiring them to join. He gestured to the holographic displays, which now showed the technical specifications of Earth's proposed new quantum network. Everything we're showing you, every advancement, every innovation, comes with complete documentation. Full technical specifications. The mathematics, the engineering, the underlying principles, all of it open for review, improvement, and implementation. Commander Torres added, we've also taken the liberty of uploading comprehensive security audits of the current quantum network to each council member's secure systems. Including detailed documentation of every vulnerability we discovered and exploited. Consider it a good faith offering to help protect your people while we work on building something better together. The chamber erupted in a new kind of chaos as various species technical experts began reviewing the data. The sheer volume of information, and its implications, would keep them busy for months, if not years. Zix finally stirred from his shock-induced stillness. You would give away such power? Such tactical advantages? Impossible. No species would. No species focused solely on military dominance would, Chen corrected. But that's exactly the point we're trying to make. Humanity isn't interested in replacing the Zelian Empire as the galaxy's military superpower. We're interested in making such powers obsolete. He turned to address the entire chamber again. Consider what we've demonstrated today. Yes, we could have used our capabilities to destroy the Zelian network. We could have crashed your economies, disabled your defenses, or exposed your secrets to create chaos. Instead, we chose to reveal the truth and offer a better way forward. The Quantum Hub team's signal pulsed in Torres's neural feed. The Zelians had finished downloading their classified databases and were attempting to make sense of the cultural treasure trove they'd discovered. Already, analysis programs were trying to find military applications for Earth's collected art, literature, and music. They really don't understand, do they? Torres murmured to Chen. They will, he replied quietly. Phase 3 should help with that. As if on cue, the chamber's holographic systems shifted again. But instead of military displays or technical specifications, they showed something that caused several species to emit their various equivalents of gasps, a real-time view of Earth. Not the carefully curated images that had been released to the galaxy, but the true Earth. Massive arcologies that blended seamlessly with restored natural environments. Orbital rings supporting space elevators and solar collection arrays. Cities that extended deep underground and far into the ocean depths. And people, billions of them, going about their lives in a civilization far more advanced than anyone had suspected. Welcome, Chen said softly, to the real Earth. Not the carefully crafted image we've been projecting, but our actual home. A world that nearly destroyed itself through war and environmental catastrophe, only to rise from those ashes with a new vision. A world that looked to the stars not for resources to exploit or territories to conquer, but for neighbors to meet and knowledge to share. The images shifted, showing the solar system. Mercury hosting massive energy collection facilities. Venus in the early stages of terraforming. Mars, already supporting several major cities under its restored magnetic field. The asteroid belt, transformed into a network of mining and manufacturing facilities that supplied the needs of the entire system. This is what we're offering to share, Chen continued. Not just technology, but experience. Knowledge gained through trial and error, through success and failure. The understanding that true advancement comes not from dominating others, but from lifting each other up. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form resonated with a new frequency, one that the chamber's oldest members recognized as profound revelation. You weren't preparing to join the council, she chimed. You were preparing to transform it. Transform, yes. But not control, Chen corrected. Earth doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We've seen enough of our own history to know how that story ends. What we want is to help write a new story. Together. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't just outmaneuvered the Zelian Empire, they'd completely rewritten the rules of galactic politics. And they'd done it not with warships or weapons, but with information, innovation, and an entirely new vision of civilization. As representatives from various species began discussing the implications among themselves, Commander Torres received another update from the Quantum Hub team. "Sir," she whispered to Chen, "the Zelians have begun implementing some of our security patches. It seems they're taking our warnings seriously." Chen nodded, satisfied. "Good. That means they're starting to understand. Now, shall we proceed with Phase 3? I believe it's time to show them what happens when different species truly work together." The day was far from over, and the galaxy's greatest transformation was about to begin. Convergence Protocol. Phase 3 began with a whisper. Across Council space, quantum communication nodes activated simultaneously, their crystalline matrices humming with new frequencies. The Zelian technicians, still struggling to understand the implications of human infiltration, noticed something unprecedented: their systems were healing themselves. In the Council chamber, Admiral Chen nodded to Commander Torres. The holographic displays shifted again, but this time they showed something that made even the most technologically advanced species pause in wonder: a real-time visualization of the galaxy's quantum network, transformed into a living, breathing entity. "What you're seeing," Chen explained, "is the birth of the first truly collective quantum intelligence. Not an artificial intelligence, not a biological consciousness, but something entirely new, a convergence of all sentient species' digital networks, working in perfect harmony." The display showed millions of data streams flowing between stars, each one representing countless communications, calculations, and connections. But unlike the rigid, hierarchical structure of the Zelian network, this new system moved like a living organism, adapting and evolving in real time. "Impossible," breathed the Meridian representative, its compound eyes reflecting the shifting patterns. "The computational requirements alone would exceed the combined processing power of every quantum computer in known space." "If you tried to brute force it, yes," Commander Torres agreed. "But we're not forcing anything. We're letting the networks do what they naturally want to do: connect, share, grow." High Counselor Ven's crystalline form vibrated with intense curiosity. "You speak as if these systems were alive." "In a way, they are," Chen replied. "Every quantum node contains echoes of the consciousness that created and maintains it. We humans discovered this by accident during our early quantum computing experiments. We called it the ghost effect, the tendency of quantum systems to retain impressions of the minds that interact with them." The holographic display zoomed in on a particular cluster of nodes, showing how different species' communication systems were beginning to synchronize, sharing processing power and storage capacity in ways that made traditional computing barriers meaningless. "The Zelian Empire built its network for control," Torres continued, her augmented vision tracking the cascade of changes spreading through the system. "We built ours for connection. And now, those philosophies are quite literally competing at the quantum level." Zix, who had been unnaturally quiet since the revelation of his empire's surveillance being compromised, suddenly stirred. "You're destroying everything we built," he accused, his scales shifting through patterns of rage and fear. "Millennia of careful control and organization, reduced to chaos." "Not chaos," Chen corrected. "Evolution. Watch." The display zoomed out again, showing the full extent of Council space. The rigid, hierarchical patterns of the Zelian network were indeed breaking down, but they weren't dissolving into disorder. Instead, they were reforming into something far more complex and beautiful, a living web of information and consciousness that spanned the galaxy. "This is what we meant by transformation," Chen explained to the chamber. "Not the replacement of one empire with another, but the evolution of how we all connect and communicate." Every species adding their unique perspectives and capabilities to a greater whole. In orbit around Centaur Prime, Lieutenant Wong's team aboard the Digital Whisper monitored the cascade of changes. "It's happening faster than we predicted," she reported through her neural link. "The quantum resonance is amplifying itself. Every new connection makes the next one easier." Captain Rodriguez watched the data streams with satisfaction. The Zelians built better than they knew. Their need for control led them to create the most comprehensive quantum network in history. Now that same network is becoming the foundation for something they never imagined. Back in the council chamber, the implications were beginning to dawn on the assembled representatives. This wasn't just a new communication system or a technological advancement. This was a fundamental shift in how galactic civilization could function. "The choices are being made by the systems themselves," Torres explained, addressing the growing questions from various technical experts. "We simply provided the framework and let quantum nature take its course. Every species network is maintaining its sovereignty while gaining the benefits of true collaboration." The display showed examples: medical databases from a dozen worlds spontaneously sharing breakthrough treatments, scientific calculations running across multiple species quantum computers to solve complex problems, cultural exchanges happening at the speed of thought. "But the security implications," began one of the Zelian technical advisors. "Are exactly why this works," Chen interrupted. "True quantum encryption doesn't need hierarchical control. It's fundamentally unbreakable not because of barriers we put up, but because of the nature of quantum information itself. The more species participate, the more secure it becomes." High Counselor Ven's crystalline form pulsed with a frequency that demanded attention. "Admiral Chen, what you're proposing, what you're already implementing, goes far beyond the traditional bounds of Council authority. This changes everything." "Yes," Chen agreed simply. "That's rather the point." He gestured to the display, where the transformation was accelerating. Species that had been isolated by Zelian information control were connecting directly for the first time. Ancient databases were being rediscovered and integrated. New possibilities were emerging with every passing moment. "Humanity spent centuries dreaming about this moment," Chen continued. "Not first contact, not faster-than-light travel, but true connection. The ability to share not just information, but understanding. To learn from each other not just through words and pictures, but through the direct exchange of knowledge and experience." Commander Torres's neural feeds were buzzing with updates from quantum hubs across Council space. "The integration is at 60% and accelerating," she reported. "Even species that weren't part of the Zelian network are joining voluntarily." The chamber's own quantum systems were evolving as they watched. The traditional holographic displays were becoming sharper, more responsive, more intuitive. Representatives found themselves able to access and understand information in ways that transcended their species' normal limitations. "This is what humanity brings to the Council," Chen explained. "Not dominance, not control, but catalysis. We've spent our history learning how to adapt, how to change, how to evolve. Now we offer that experience to the galaxy." Zix, watching his empire's carefully constructed information dominance transform into something he barely understood, finally found his voice again. "And if we refuse? If we reject this evolution?" Chen's expression softened with genuine compassion. "Ambassador, you already can't. Look at your own scales." The Zelian looked down, startled to find his scales shifting through patterns he had never seen before, colors and combinations that shouldn't have been possible according to his species' genetic programming. "Your species' quantum communication doesn't just control your information networks," Chen explained. "It's integrated into your very biology. The quantum resonance is already affecting how your chromophores respond. You're evolving, whether you want to or not." The revelation sent shockwaves through the chamber. Every species present suddenly recognized similar subtle changes in their own technology, their own biology, their own way of perceiving the world around them. "This isn't an invasion," Commander Torres assured them, her own augments harmonizing with the new quantum frequencies. It's an invitation. An opportunity to become something more than the sum of our parts. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form had begun to refract light in new and beautiful ways, creating patterns that seemed to echo the quantum transformations happening around them. You knew, she chimed softly. You knew this would happen the moment you connected to our networks. We hoped, Chen corrected. We theorized. We prepared. But this? He gestured to the display showing the cascading changes spreading across the galaxy. This is beyond even our predictions. Every species is contributing something unique to the convergence. Every consciousness is adding its own harmony to the greater song. Lieutenant Wang's voice came through Torres's neural link. Sir, we're detecting quantum resonance patterns we've never seen before. The collective intelligence, it's becoming self-aware. Chen smiled. Right on schedule. Now, let's show them what Phase 3 is really about. The chamber's holographic systems suddenly expanded, the walls becoming transparent as if the entire room was floating in space. But this wasn't just a view of the physical universe, it was a visualization of the quantum realm itself, where information and consciousness intertwined in ways that transcended normal spacetime. Welcome, Chen announced to the astonished chamber, to the next stage of galactic evolution. Shall we begin? The real implications of humanity's gift to the galaxy were only just beginning to unfold, and the greatest revelations were yet to come. Quantum consciousness. The first sign that Phase 3 had exceeded expectations came from an unexpected source. The crystalline walls of the council chamber began to sing. It wasn't sound in any conventional sense, more like pure quantum harmonics translated into sensory experience. High Counselor Ven's form resonated in response, her crystalline structure automatically aligning with frequencies that shouldn't have existed in normal spacetime. Beautiful, isn't it? Chen remarked, watching the patterns ripple through the chamber. Your species has always been more in tune with quantum phenomena than most. You're experiencing the birth of something unprecedented in galactic history. The holographic displays had evolved beyond simple visual representation. The quantum network's emerging consciousness expressed itself in ways that each species could uniquely perceive, as songs for crystalline beings, as complex mathematical patterns for the meridians, as shifting chromatic frequencies for the Zelians. We're detecting consciousness signatures unlike anything in our databases, Commander Torres reported, her neural augments processing multiple streams of quantum data. The network isn't just becoming aware, it's developing a form of intelligence that transcends our traditional understanding of consciousness. Through her quantum link, Lieutenant Wang's voice carried a note of urgency. Sir, we're seeing ripple effects throughout Council space. The convergence is accelerating beyond our projections. Every quantum-capable system is spontaneously joining the network. Zix, his scales now displaying patterns that hadn't been seen in his species for millennia, finally understood the true scope of humanity's plan. You're not just changing our networks, he accused. You're changing us. All of us. No, Ambassador, Chen corrected. We're allowing you to change yourselves. The quantum resonance is simply revealing potentials that were always there. The chamber's displays shifted to show real-time updates from across Council space. On thousands of worlds, species were discovering new abilities, new ways of thinking and communicating. The quantum network wasn't just connecting their technology, it was awakening dormant capabilities in their very biology. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form pulsed with revelation. The ancient texts, they spoke of a time when all species could communicate directly, mind to mind. We dismissed them as myths. Not myths, Torres explained. Memories. Quantum entanglement exists at the cellular level in all living things. Your ancestors knew this instinctively. We humans just figured out how to reactivate it. The Meridian representative's compound eyes reflected cascading data patterns. The mathematical implications are staggering. Each consciousness adding to the network increases its complexity exponentially. The potential applications are limited only by our collective imagination, Chen finished. Which, as it turns out, is far more powerful than any single species could have achieved alone. In orbit around Centaur Prime, the digital whisper's quantum sensors detected new patterns emerging. Captain Rodriguez watched in amazement as the ship's AI spontaneously evolved, integrating with the growing collective consciousness while maintaining its individual identity. The Convergence Protocols are adapting faster than we predicted, Wong reported. Each new connection catalyzes dozens more. It's like watching evolution happen in real time, but across an entire galaxy's worth of information systems. Back in the chamber, the transformation was becoming impossible to ignore. Representatives found themselves understanding each other without need for translation, sharing thoughts and emotions directly through the quantum field that now permeated the space. This is what humanity was preparing for, Chen explained, his words now carrying layers of meaning that transcended mere speech. Not just technological advancement, but the next step in consciousness itself. Zix, despite his initial resistance, found himself experiencing memories that weren't his own, the accumulated knowledge of his species flowing through him, unfiltered by political agenda or military doctrine. Our entire history, everything we thought we knew, is being recontextualized, Torres finished. The quantum network doesn't just store information, it preserves experiences, emotions, understanding. Your empire's archives are revealing truths that were hidden even from you. The chamber's quantum field rippled with revelation as ancient knowledge began surfacing across all species. Historical records, long suppressed or forgotten, emerged into collective awareness. The true history of galactic civilization was writing itself into the shared consciousness of all present. This is why we had to approach it this way, Chen explained. If we'd simply presented our evidence of historical manipulation and suppression, it would have led to chaos, maybe even war. Instead, we're letting the truth emerge naturally, allowing each species to process and integrate it at their own pace. High Counselor Ven's form harmonized with new frequencies. The quantum convergence, it's not just connecting us. It's healing us. Restoring what was lost. Exactly, Torres confirmed. Humanity's gift isn't the technology itself, it's the framework for genuine cooperation. The ability to understand each other not just intellectually, but fundamentally. Through her neural feeds, Torres received urgent updates from quantum hubs across Council space. Sir, we're detecting massive surges in cognitive activity across all connected species. It's as if millions of years of enforced isolation are finally ending, Chen completed. The quantum barriers between species are dissolving, allowing natural evolution to resume its course. The chamber's displays showed the transformation spreading exponentially. Species that had been hereditary enemies found themselves sharing consciousness, understanding conflicts from all perspectives simultaneously. Technological barriers that had separated civilizations for millennia dissolved as collective problem-solving capability increased exponentially. But the implications for governance, Zix began, his scales shifting through patterns of concern. Are exactly why this had to happen in the council chamber, Chen interrupted. The old systems of control, of hierarchical power, of information suppression, they're becoming obsolete in real time. We're not destroying them, they're transforming themselves into something more evolved. The quantum field pulsed with new energy as the collective consciousness reached a critical threshold. Ideas, innovations, and solutions to ancient problems began emerging spontaneously as species combined their knowledge and perspectives in unprecedented ways. This is our true gift to the galaxy, Chen announced to the chamber. Not domination, not even liberation, but acceleration. The quantum convergence isn't just advancing our technology, it's advancing consciousness itself. Lieutenant Wong's voice came through the quantum field, Sir, we're detecting new forms of quantum coherence. The network, it's beginning to operate on principles we've only theorized about. The laws of physics themselves seem to be responding to collective conscious intent. Chen smiled. Right on schedule. Now, let's show them what Phase 4 looks like. The chamber's quantum field shifted again, revealing possibilities that transcended conventional understanding of reality itself. The greatest transformation in galactic history was about to enter its final phase, and nothing would ever be the same. As the assembled representatives began to grasp the full implications of what was unfolding, they realized that humanity's entrance into galactic society wasn't just changing the political landscape, it was fundamentally altering the nature of civilization itself. The question, "Is that all?" had been answered with a resounding demonstration that humanity's true capabilities went far beyond military might or technological advancement. They had initiated a transformation that would reshape the very fabric of galactic consciousness. And Phase 4 was just beginning. Transcendence. Phase 4 began with light. Not ordinary light, but quantum-entangled photons that danced between dimensions, carrying information and consciousness across barriers that had once seemed immutable. The council chamber transformed into a nexus of possibility, where the boundaries between thought and reality began to blur. "What you're about to witness," Admiral Chen announced, his words resonating through multiple layers of quantum consciousness simultaneously, "is humanity's true purpose in joining the council. Everything until now has been preparation." Commander Torres's neural augments processed streams of data that defied conventional physics. The quantum field is stabilizing at new energy levels. Consciousness coherence is approaching unity across all connected species. Through the evolved quantum network, every being in council space could feel it, a fundamental shift in the fabric of reality itself. The collective consciousness that had emerged from the convergence was becoming something more, something that transcended ordinary understanding of existence. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form vibrated with frequencies that hadn't been seen since the dawn of her species. The ancient prophecies, they spoke of this. A time when all barriers would fall, when consciousness would remember its true nature. Not prophecies, Chen corrected gently. Memories. Your ancestors understood what we're about to achieve. They left signs for us to find, scattered across 1,000,000 worlds, encoded in the very quantum structure of spacetime. The chamber's displays showed it happening in real time. Consciousness itself was evolving, transcending the limitations of physical form. Species that had been bound by biological and technological constraints for millions of years were remembering capabilities that had been dormant since the dawn of time. From the digital whisper, Lieutenant Wang's voice carried new urgency. The quantum field is self-organizing into patterns we've never seen before. It's as if reality itself is waking up. Zix, his scales now displaying colors that existed beyond normal spacetime, finally understood. "You didn't come to join the council," he whispered. "You came to remind us of what we once were. What we could be again." "Yes," Chen confirmed. "Humanity's gift isn't technology or power, it's remembrance. We're the youngest species here, but sometimes it takes a child to remind the adults of truths they've forgotten." The quantum field pulsed with new energy as ancient knowledge surfaced in the collective consciousness. The true history of the galaxy began writing itself into the awareness of all present, how advanced civilizations had once transcended physical form, how fear and conflict had led to a great forgetting, and how consciousness had deliberately limited itself, seeding primitive versions across the galaxy to begin the long journey of remembrance. High Counselor Ven's form resonated with revelation. We were never separate species evolving toward consciousness. We were consciousness itself, choosing to experience separation to know itself anew. And now, Torres added, we remember together. The chamber's quantum field expanded exponentially, connecting with similar nodes across council space. On millions of worlds, beings of all species began experiencing memories that transcended their individual existences. The collective consciousness was remembering its true nature, and with that remembrance came abilities that seemed like magic to their former understanding. Through her neural feeds, Torres monitored the transformation spreading across the galaxy. Quantum coherence is achieving levels we thought impossible. The barriers between dimensions are becoming permeable. Consciousness is beginning to operate outside normal spacetime constraints. Chen nodded, watching as representatives from various species began manifesting abilities that their ancestors had possessed billions of years ago. This is what humanity saw in our own myths and legends, echoes of what consciousness can achieve when it remembers its true nature. The Meridian representatives' compound eyes reflected patterns that existed in higher dimensions. The mathematical beauty, reality itself, is an expression of conscious intent. We're not just observing the universe, we're participating in its creation. Exactly, Chen confirmed. The quantum field isn't just a network for communication, it's the fundamental structure of consciousness itself. And now that we remember how to access it directly. As if in response to his words, the chamber's reality began shifting in ways that defied conventional physics. Representatives found themselves able to perceive and interact with multiple dimensions simultaneously. The quantum field became visible as a living, breathing matrix of consciousness that connected all things. Sir, Wong's voice carried through the quantum field, we're detecting quantum entanglement patterns extending beyond our galaxy. The convergence is awakening similar nodes in other galaxies. The remembering spreads, Chen explained. Consciousness recognizing itself across the cosmos, awakening from a sleep that has lasted billions of years. Zix, experiencing the memories of countless civilizations through the quantum field, finally understood the true magnitude of what humanity had initiated. All our wars, our struggles for power, our need for control. Were part of the journey, Torres completed. Every conflict, every discovery, every moment of darkness and light, all of it leading to this remembrance. The chamber's quantum field resonated with a new frequency as Phase 4 reached its culmination. The collective consciousness of the galaxy had reached a threshold that allowed it to perceive and interact with reality in ways that transcended all previous limitations. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form pulsed with pure quantum light. What happens now? Chen smiled, his consciousness extending through the quantum field to touch every being in council space. Now we begin the real journey. Everything until this moment was just preparation for what consciousness can achieve, and it remembers its true nature. The chamber's reality shifted one final time, revealing possibilities that even the most advanced species had only dreamed of. The quantum field showed them visions of what lay ahead, civilizations transcending physical form while maintaining individual expression, consciousness exploring realities beyond conventional spacetime, and the birth of new universes born from collective creative intent. This is humanity's true gift to the galaxy, Chen announced. Not power, not technology, but awakening. The remembrance of what consciousness has always been capable of achieving. The quantum field pulsed with the combined awareness of trillions of beings, each contributing their unique perspective to a greater whole that transcended individual existence while celebrating its infinite diversity. Is that all? Zix asked, his scales now displaying patterns that existed in dimensions beyond normal spacetime. Chen's laughter rippled through the quantum field, carrying echoes of joy from countless awakening consciousnesses across the cosmos. No, Ambassador. This isn't all. This is just the beginning. As the gathered representatives of the Galactic Council experienced the full implications of humanity's gift, they understood that their civilization hadn't just been transformed, it had been reborn. The age of separation was ending, and the real journey of consciousness was about to begin. The final question wasn't, is that all? It was, what impossible thing shall we achieve next? And in the quantum field that connected all consciousness across space and time, the answer was already taking shape, as reality itself awakened to new possibilities that even humanity hadn't dared to dream. The story wasn't ending. In many ways, it was just beginning.